if I may share them with you.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. First of all, I was very excited about the approach I was instructed to take with that team.
Yeah.
And I think this preface will help me share with you a solution for communicating this.
Okay.
The message being, speak to them as if they're leaders, because they are leaders, about how to be more effective in leading their teams. And if they need to look in the mirror, they will. Guess what?
Yep.
They're looking in the mirror.
Yes.
2,500 assessments with Optavia coaches. 2,500. Two statistics are critical. 93% of them to 95% of them spend an inordinate amount of time in their head to start with. They don't live in the now. They don't live here taking their clay and creating the most they can with it, going to their mind to get inspired. You see why I taught this.
Yep.
Spend a lot of time in their head. In their head, they're creating expectations for how quickly they can build, how big it will get, what kind of income they're going to make. And every time they wake up from that fantasy and they face the reality of their life, they hate it.
Yeah.
Now, it's at an intrinsic level, this measurement showing up 85% of the time. That's incredible. 85% of them are going, all the time. Because this obstacle keeps getting in the way called unrealistic expectation, concrete condition for happiness. As a consequence, they're beating themselves up. What's wrong with me? Does God not love me? Lots of dialogue.
Right.
We know that's happening.
Right.
We call this enemy number one. Because what I know, absolutely know in the fibers of my being, this is the number one obstacle to success in Optavia. If the obstacle's the way, did we create an obstacle by having the conversation, or did we reveal the obstacle by having the conversation? And I would suggest the latter. We revealed it. I knew it because the people that we're working with, I had a coach call me yesterday and said, explain to me ninehood, because she's got 4 clients that she's working with that are on your team or Terry's team that were at the event, who are all talking ninehood. So I knew from last night that this was stirred up. When I got your call this morning, I said, oh, this is exciting, because we now have revealed the number one enemy. When people quit Optavia and they say, I can't do this anymore, what they're actually saying is, it's too exhausting to fight this dialogue. That is a secret you can take to the bank. That's huge. I am exhausted from fight. If you ask them, you could get to this space, but I know that from the conversations, because when we get them, they're often ready to.
Right.
This is like the last thing. They hire we give them a scholarship, for an example, and the very first challenge is having them fall back in love with Optavia. Well, they love Optavia. They're just tired.
Yeah. Because
restate that. A lot of the dialogue from leadership is about pressing forward and making it happen and, be all in. And those are all great things. I agree with all of that. But they're dragging a monstrous sack into that process.
Yeah.
First, communication. If you were at the event, you're a 9. End of discussion.
Thank you for,
if you were at the event, you're a 9. So get over it. You may not feel like one, but you have performed at ninehood in spite of the dialogue. The question is, can you get to the next level without relieving some of that pressure? That's the question. So if I were talking to this group, I'd say, if you were there, you're a 9. You may not feel like a 9. You may have a lot of dialogue you've been dragging along with you while you've been producing, but you're a producer. You can do this. You're a 9. What are you going to do with the thought processes, the healthy mind piece? What are you going to do? because you probably can't get to the next level dragging this behind you. And you can't just get over it. This isn't a Bob Newhart, stop it kind of thing. You know that. You and I have had
Yep.
very tender conversations on this very topic.
Yeah.
We've known this problem exists at a very high level for a very long time. It's the single greatest driver for us wanting to work with Optavia coaches. When I say, we've been looking for you for 15 years, what I mean, I tried to say it, but I didn't articulate this really well because time was flying by so quick and I had so many important things to get to. I missed a little piece of this, so I'll share it with you now. We have worked with tens of thousands of people in networking. This is a common problem. Not amongst clients, but those who are open to the opportunity come with 7 thought processes in common. They just come with them. It's the strangest thing. They just do. Here's the challenge. I know how to show somebody the way to get through this obstacle. Challenge. If they don't have a product offering and a compensation plan that can create a healthy body and a healthy finances, I'm doing it in vain. And we did that for a lot of years, hoping somehow against hope we could still help them get successful. And some of these programs, to you, are nearly impossible to build. Right. I won't go into company names, but some of these comp plans are absolutely designed for breakage.
Right.
When we found Optavia, what we knew immediately is if we could help someone address this issue and deliver them to this program more whole and complete, they could actually create a healthy body and healthy finances. That is a reality. And that is so thrilling to us because we know how to do the healthy mind piece. Challenge has been this. You don't have to be a registered dietitian or an RN to be a health coach.
Right.
Right? You don't have to be a therapist to address the mind. But there has been a belief that we're not therapists, so we don't go there. Not true. These people, there are some who need therapy. There's no question. We've run into a few, we've referred a few.
Yeah.
But the vast majority really want to get rid of this. They want to move forward. That's a coaching issue. What do I do to move forward? And it provides this opportunity for you and I. I think I've told you what to say to them. Question is, are we going to view this obstacle as the way? Or are we going to view it as a distraction? And what's the principle we teach? Because this is not a distraction. This is enemy number one. It is wearing people out. It is exhausting them to the core. And I know how to solve it. Dang it, I know how to solve it. And the only option we've had so far is to retain somebody as a coaching client. And not everybody can afford to do that, nor can we afford to take some of them on because they're not ready. So we're very selective, but we'll take somebody on. We'll work on it. Yeah, we'll work on it. But there's got to be a solution that everybody who gets to the level of this meeting that we all attended could have access to. It's going to have economics to it because I don't have a passive income from selling fuelings. This is my business. This is how I make my living, changing lives like you do. You make your living changing lives. And you're not ashamed to be paid for what you do. Nor am I. I just think there's a more effective way to do it where more people could have access to it really inexpensively. I have a new friend on Facebook. She was at the event. And she was so kind to just spend time sharing how she felt about the experience. I was so moved by it. I checked in to see how she's doing. And she was saying she's struggling with her weight and with her mindset, self-esteem. So I said, did you get a copy of the Observer's Chair at the event? If you didn't, I'll send you one. Just call Nikki. She'll send you one as a gift. I'll just send you the gift. And she said, I got one, but I haven't read it yet. And I said, oh, it's a quick read. This is, series of, it's a quick read. And here are the 3 places you want to focus, and here are the pages you want to read. Now we'll see if she does it or not, but she's supposed to report back to me, just as a friend on Facebook. We really are committed to this.
I know you are. Yeah.
Yep. So people are in their 9hood, but they're feeling like 6 and 7s. And some of them lower than that, but they're 9s if they got there. How do you take that leader and start to release this enemy number 1 so they can get to regional, national? And the first thing you want is a program that drives them into action. See, leadership, and you may have had this conversation with someone, not you will, it's a distraction. We haven't got time to go do that. Well, it's the obstacle. It's the way. Let's break through it. But the solution is application-based. It's application-based. They can't overcome it if they're not building their business. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Can I just quickly give you those 3 things, just a brief, so you can have them in the back of your mind thinking about it?
Yeah.
That'd be okay?
Yeah.
Number 1, connection with people. But they'll want to learn how to notice what's important, listen, ask empathetic questions, leave someone feeling understood, because when they do, the wall comes down and a very visceral experience occurs. Energy and cooperation pour out, and it begins to fill the void in their soul. In that process, they discover that all that crap that's happened in their life is their greatest asset. When they get that one down, self-esteem starts to heal.
Yep.
Second, very active visual minds, vivid visual minds. Most of them in fantasy or catastrophe. It's the natural default. Only 98% of the people with the gift, 2%, 98% don't, but 2% naturally use it constructively. Only 2%.
Wow.
98% are in the default of catastrophizing or fantasizing. And 93% of your coaches have this gift off the charts. So the numbers don't lie, and nor does the evidence.
Right.
So we teach them. I started talking about this at the event. You want to learn how to use this to get an inspired idea. We all know the source. Get an inspired idea. If I have you wired to a functional MRI, we see part of your brain ignite that's normally dormant. Nice passion, drives action. We create something we didn't have otherwise. And we have a moment of trusting and being trusted, knowing and being known. This is so congruent with everybody in that room. It's incredible. And that knowingness is the single greatest healer of self-esteem. If you're getting inspiration from a power beyond you of how more effectively serve a person or a person that should be served, and you're following up on as though it's an urgent assignment, that's the greatest healer of self-esteem. And the third, 88% of all the health coaches have incredibly clear empathy intuition. They're not accessing it. Too much noise. Talking themselves out of their own intuition. Remember I said that. 2, 85% of them have extraordinarily high levels of practical judgment and common sense. That's natural genius. Which means when they stop procrastinating and finally jump in, I could say to every one of them, categorically, what do you say to yourself every time you reach a deadline and you can't avoid it and you jump in and you do it? I should have done that sooner. Wow, why did I wait so long? Yeah.
Sure.
Add wow to it. Wow. We've talked about this privately.
Yeah.
Delay, 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 jump in, surprise. Delay, 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 shut off the noise in my head, unleash my natural genius. Wow, I'm surprised. When people stop being surprised about their natural genius, they spend more time in the now, using their genius, power sessions, focused on serving people, using their mind constructively. They start to find out really who they are. And that's a healer of self-esteem. Those are 3 things that heal. All 3 of them require them to be building their business. You can't do this on the sidelines. You can't go fix self-esteem and then come back and work. It only gets
Yep.
resolved by being in action. Can you imagine, last thing this morning, a little program? It might be 4 or 5 weeks, relatively inexpensive. I mean, it's not like a coaching session. It might be $99 a person. I don't know, just arbitrarily.
Mm-hmm.
And they learn how to do all of this. They get all the materials to do it. And then we follow up with them every couple of months with another Zoom to see how they're doing, answer any questions. Can you imagine a year from now if 15 or 20% of them really started managing this? Another 15 or 20 becoming more aware.
Yep.
And you find out the ones who just want to wallow in their stuff. There are going to be some of those. What would be different in the business in terms of growth? Exponential. I believe exponential. It's not a distraction. This is an obstacle. And if it doesn't get addressed, 2, it's going to get compounded as other people are successful. And that's going to be a really scary piece for some. They just go deeper into comparative reality. And, well, I think I've said enough on the topic. This is enemy number 1. So bottom line, are we going to view it as a distraction or an obstacle? And is the obstacle the way? So you can have a short-term fix. If you're there, you're a 9. If you don't feel like a 9, you need to do something about it. Because if you're going to grow to the next level, you can't drag this into it. It's going to get increasingly more difficult. And this is going to be a greater and greater burden. We got to figure out a way to get rid of it. Get the observer share, get started. It talks about some of this. But there's got to be a solution.
Yeah.
And we have wanted so badly to create one. And I think we just revealed the need. This is a topic that's happening everywhere after that convention. It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Isn't it awesome? Yeah. Wow. What happens if this is it? Could this be it?
Yeah.
Could this be it? We're focusing on all the technical stuff you do with a meet and greet and this Zoom call and that Zoom call. And behind all of that is dragging this gigantic sack of self-deprecating dialogue. Ugh.
Yeah.
Let's release them.
Yeah. Let's free them. Free them up.
Let's free them. There's not a company on the planet that's done this.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it because they all see it as a distraction because they're recruiting machines and they're piling up dead bodies all over the place.
Yeah.
Fortunately, with a little bit of effort, people can have success with your program. And because they have that success, they'll stick a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But we owe it to them. Trilogy: healthy body, healthy finances, healthy mind. This is the issue, and we're not addressing it.
Yeah. Well, and I always go back to that freed people, and hurting people hurt. I mean, it's like if they just putting a Band-Aid on it and in action, doing all these health assessments, meet and greets, but they're not dealing with that underlying screaming voice at the end of the day, and they wake up in the morning with it screaming, and we got to deal with it. And we know action diffuses fear. I'm all about action, but I think I went back and I listened to scroll. I don't know what scroll number it is, but I will act
9?
now. 9.
Powerful.
Yeah, I don't know if you can reiterate that. I mean, I know we're recording this, but just that was really a key shift, I think, in my coaching time with you, is where you talked about I will obey my own command. I will act now. And that shift of like not living out of my emotion, but living out of what I wanted to create and shutting off the noise. I mean, Observer's Chair was a game changer for me. And that was why I called you this morning. It's like, okay, everybody's asking if they're 9 or am I 6? Am I a 4? Like, we're all 9s. It's just our head that keeps us from stepping into that 9hood. And if we don't step into our 9hood, how can we see the 9hood in others, right? So I don't know if you can reiterate that. I will act now, because I know that was a game changer for me.
It's one of my favorite scrolls. There are more quotable quotes in that one. My dreams are worthless. My plans are dust. My goals are impossible. All are of no value unless they're followed by action. Then he says, my procrastination, which is born of fear, that's what's held me back. He's recognized this mind from the depths of all courageous, C-O-U-R, core heart, a heart of a heart. When you get into the heart of the heart, courageous hearts, what does he learn? That to remove the flutters in my heart, I must act without hesitation. Now I know that the lion of terror can turn into an act of equanimity. That's really a key piece. And I did a video on this once. I'll see if I could find it.
Okay.
Is the challenge with most networking companies, and I could get in trouble if this ever got to one of them, is that you can take the action, and if there's not a result, if there's any hesitation of I'm really lying to them that they can do this, the person's mirror neurons pick up that energy. And they're going, whoa. And the person picks up, their mirror neurons pick up that person's resistance, and they feel icky. I wrote this in Today I Begin a New Life, the kind of icky you can't wash off in a shower. The difference between that and Optavia is they can actually speak it, and it's the truth. So they could be in action talking and not violating mirror neurons. They still are, because their negative dialogue is there and they cannot hide it. It leaks out on their face. They may be going through the motions of a meet and greet, but they're bringing the dialogue with them, and people's mirror neurons are picking up the subtlety of that.
Right.
The only person who can't do that's a psychopath. They can lie so convincingly, even to themselves, that their facial expressions, tone, tenor of their voice, body posture will not send a message that will trigger a mirror neuron negatively. So if you're not a psychopath, you can't hide what you're thinking. It will leak out on your face, tone and tenor of your voice. We have 200 sets of muscles on our face. They're subtle, but a mirror neuron picks up every one of them. So we want to be able to get past it for that reason. Then he goes on to say, to increase my value, I must increase my actions. I'll walk where the failure will not walk. I'll talk when the failure remains silent. I'll work when the failure seeks rest. I'll call on 10 who can buy my goods while the failure makes grand plans to call on 1. I'll say it's done before the failure says it's too late. That's critical, because some of these health coaches are trying to get hospital organizations to take this on. You know, they've got these big wow kind of ideas instead of just working with 10 people.
Yeah.
And lastly is where you went. I hunger. I just love that. I hunger for success. I thirst for happiness. Talk about you're dealing with fuelings. I mean, it's the metaphor is incredible. I hunger for success. I thirst for happiness and peace of mind. That's equanimity. Lest I act, I will perish in a life of failure, misery, and sleepless nights. I will command. This is the first time in literature I remember reading this. It's metacognition. He's talking about himself and his thought processes. I will command, and I, those are my thoughts, will obey my own command. I will act now. That's really powerful. Now, the question is, what actions do you take? Because if you take them burdened by the thought processes, they're not going to be as effective. Clearly, they're effective. There are $6,000 in volume and 2 health coaches to be there.
Right.
What could they do without the noise? That's the question.
Exactly.
What could they do without the noise? Yeah. Obstacles the way. Yeah, please tell them they're 9's. If they weren't, I probably wouldn't have shared the story.
That's right.
Yeah. I wouldn't have them indicting themselves of being less than. But the story, the basis for the story, and I'll close with this because I know you've got children waiting. Here's the real issue. It was about tithing your time. That's why I went through that discussion. Now, as a 9, get back to your 9hood and go find 9s who feel like 7s, get them back to their 9hood. Do that with 9 people, and then take on one project. Matthew 25, when you've done the least of these, you've done it unto me. We don't want to leave the challenged people out in the cold just because they can't produce right away. We're in the business of changing lives, not just lives of people who aren't as challenged. We're in the business of changing lives, but one project. Then you get your 9 9s to go tithe their time by finding 9 9s and one project. And you now have multiplied your value 100-fold. by the time they do it. So it's you do 1, they do 10, the next group is doing 100. Because if a coach tries to take on 10 projects, they'll never, ever change the world. The duplicatable model, the networking piece of Optavia, create an organic result, inspire them to do likewise with another, transfer the skill set, is perfectly designed for tithing your time and helping challenge people without me having to be responsible for all of them. It's incredible. That's why I shared the 9hood thing. Because if you're going 9 feels like 7, feels more comfortable with 6, who actually feels like a 4, more comfortable with a 3, who actually feels like a 1, they've destroyed their organization in 3 generations.
Right.
And there's some of them who have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got a clean house. Anyway, gosh, I could go on forever. You're on my favorite topic.
Yeah. And what's beautiful is we can clean house. That's what's beautiful about this process, Dave, is if you're willing to journey it out, the obstacle is the way, and walk this out. It is possible. You can clean it up. That's what the beautiful thing about this is. Yeah. Or you get to start afresh, like your ED with 2 senior coaches. Like, you get to create the life that you want, not in fantasy, but in actual reality. So I just thank you for what you brought to the team, and thank you for bringing wisdom and clarity to this topic today.
You're welcome. And I'll download this and send you a copy of it.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you.
Blessed day.
Mwah.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.